Welcome everyone to this Ex Libris training session. This is the Becoming an Expert in Alma Analytics, session number 4, Creating and Managing Dashboards. I am Kevin Lane Cummings. I'm a Senior Customer Education Trainer with Ex Libris, part of ProQuest. Also on this presentation is my colleague Rachel Balavia, Customer Education Trainer. And together we are going to be presenting today's content. As I said, this is the 4th session, so here is the entire list of training sessions. We started a few weeks ago. And the last couple of sessions, session 2 and 3, were in very specific content areas. So we were looking at some particular content from your Alma service, like physical inventory and fulfillment, and then electronic inventory, usage, and acquisitions. For the rest of this series, for sessions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, it's less about the specific kinds of content you can get out of your Alma service and report in an analytics report and dashboard. And instead, it's the technical side. It's how to build these things, how to find the information you want and present it in ways that really work for the users who look at your reports. So we call them consumers of analytic reports. For instance, today, how to build, how to create and manage a dashboard, several different reports on one set, on one link. Next week, we'll talk about prompts, ways that your users, your consumers, can modify the reports on the fly and see different bits of information. And then, as you can see, later sessions, filters and functions and analytics objects. And then finally, our last session is useful tips, great ways of using the tool to show exactly what you need. So I hope you will join us for these later sessions. Today's agenda here, we begin with a brief analytics dashboard and dashboard prompt explanation. What are these things? If you've been with me since the beginning, you probably have a pretty good idea, and you can, if not tune me out, at least you don't have to listen to quite so hard. But then we will dig right into creating a new dashboard from scratch with some reports. Then editing a default dashboard. So we'll take one of those dashboards created by Ex Libris staff and tweak it for our personal interests. And finally, how to create really quickly a dashboard prompt and add it to the dashboard that we created at the beginning of the session. Next week is all about prompts, and we'll really dig into it, but I'll give you a little teaser today about what you can use prompts for. Formally, I put a break, a 5-minute break in here. Last time when I taught this yesterday, we didn't need it because things moved relatively quickly and we ended after about 45 or 50 minutes, so I didn't feel the need for a break. But I've got myself scheduled for 90 minutes, and if you do too, and if you would love to have a little more interaction, a little more participation today, feel free to post questions in the chat, whether it's about today's session, or we'll save some time at the end and you can ask questions or comments about the last couple sessions or the exercises that you've been working on over the last few weeks. We have time for that. Let's take advantage of the fact that we are here and live together, and we'll do that and try to show some things in, some extra things in the Alma Analytics. For me, I'm going to begin today's session with just a brief explanation of what is a dashboard and what is a prompt. I'm going to stop the video camera. I don't need that for now, but we will proceed apace too. First, what is an analytics dashboard? Well, it is a tool in Alma Analytics that brings together several different reports, usually in some kind of one common viewing area and usually some kind of similar topic. For instance, here is a fulfillment dashboard with reports on loans and circulation and patron groups and so on. So multiple reports built up in this dashboard. And then if you shared this dashboard with your colleagues at your institution, they would have access to all these separate reports in one spot in the dashboard. There are a wide variety of features that can be added to dashboards, and in the example I'm going to create today, I'll show you a very basic dashboard. I can't show you every option, but you will want to look at the documentation for more details on what kind of things can go on there. And in later sessions next week and then the following weeks, we'll get more details on what you can add to a dashboard to make it even more powerful. We'll also briefly at the end of today show a prompt, a dashboard prompt. What is that? Well, this is the example here in the red box. It is a way for the person running the report or viewing the report or consuming the report, as we sometimes say, to change a parameter of the report. In the example here, it's user group. So the user could, the viewer of this report could change and look at different user groups to see the most loaned library classifications. Alternatives would be things like the dates for fulfillment and fiscal year, the location or library of particular data you want to look for. You can put a prompt on reports, and you can also put them on dashboards. Today, I will show you adding it to a dashboard. Next week, we will look at prompts that can go on reports. And finally, you can use on a dashboard, if you add a dashboard prompt, that one prompt on one of the pages, one of the reports of your dashboard, could then be used, the data for the choice from that one prompt could be used on many or even all of the reports on other pages of the dashboard. In the example I show you today, later at today's session, that's exactly what we'll do. So you'll get to see that happen. All right, let's get started then with creating a new dashboard. Before I switch over to Alma and to the analytics tool, I just show you the high-level steps how to create a dashboard. So first, you need to create a folder in the catalog for all the parts of the dashboard to get built up. I'll show you what those different folders are. And second, you need to create the reports that are eventually going to be built into the dashboard. 1, 2, 5, 10, doesn't matter. Build those reports, and then you actually get to the point of this, creating the dashboard itself. But that's actually, even though that's kind of the key, the point of this part of today's session, that's actually the easiest part. That just takes a few minutes. As always, we will start with over in Alma. So I'm going to switch to my internet browser and log into Alma for today. This is our training environment in Alma. We use this all the time to show you folks how things work in Alma. This is not a real library. This is not a real institution. And I point that out because you will see some very interesting results on the analytics. You'll see circulation counts that seem unbearably small because we don't have circulation. All our counts are fake. Nonetheless, the tools that you use to create a dashboard and reports and so forth, they will work for me the same as they will work for you. And so it's worth showing you. In the analytics menu over here on the left corner, I'm going to open it up. Excuse me, I'm not speaking very clearly. The analytics menu that you see here, this is the new user interface that was released a couple weeks ago. If you want to try it, use it, you can. I will actually show, because someone was asking about that before, how to turn it on. You go to your account up here in Alma and go to Feature Rollout Configuration, and then you turn on the new analytics category, Analytics, and that turns on this new user interface that's available. And you can switch it off, switch it on anytime you want to. I mentioned that because when I open up my analytics menu, I'm going to go to analytics by clicking Access Analytics down here. If you're still using the old interface, you're going to click on Design Analytics. No matter what you do, that brings you over here to the actually analytics tool. And from here on, it's the same whether you switch on the new UI or leave the old user interface on for now. They all work the same. They all get to this point because this is actually a separate tool. This is technically a separate web system. It's from Oracle, analytics system. And so they haven't changed that. So it's all the same for here. And finally, one more note. I want to mention that I'm not expecting you to follow along in your Alma environment and in your analytics today. Instead, after the session, just download the exercise document that's available, and that will guide you step by step to do everything I'm doing today. So that way you don't have to worry about missing anything. Just follow along here watching instead of following in Alma and in the analytics. So first thing I'm going to do is I need to create the folders where I'm going to store parts of my dashboard. So I'm going to click Catalog to get over to the catalog system and where I'm going to put them. I'm going to put them in my institution folder. My institution folder is in shared folders here, so I'm going to open that up. Remember Alma folder, that's where the default out-of-the-box reports are. We'll get to that later today. These are some other default reports. This is my institution folder. Our training institution in Alma is called Training2Inst. Yours will be named whatever your Alma name is, but find that folder, the shared folder in there with your institution name on it, and open that up. That's where it's you're going to be working, because anything you put in here in your institution folder, you will have access to it, and so will other staff at your institution, whether they're design analytics folks or just other folks using your Alma that you want to share results with, share reports with. It needs to be in this folder. But I want to build a new folder in here. I want to create this new dashboard, and I want to put it into a new folder. And so I'm actually going to make it this test dashboard. That's from last night. I'm going to delete this test dashboard so that I can start fresh for you folks, and you can see what it looks like when I select my institution folder. So I want to select the folder that I'm going to put a new folder in, and then up at the top here, right in the corner here, is that little icon. Looks like a graph, but it says new. I'm going to click on that, and there is folder. So here's my new folder. I give it a name, and you probably won't be surprised to see I call it test dashboard, but that's the folder name. And now that's here. Great. Now I'm going to select the test dashboard folder, and you'll see it's empty. There's nothing in here. I just created it, but I need to build 3 folders. The best recommendation about these folders and how you set things up for dashboards is to do it the way that the Ex Libris folks have built their dashboards, which is 3 subfolders within the folder you're going to do this. So I'm going to build another folder, create a new folder, and this one I'm going to call dashboards. And that's where I'm going to put the actual dashboard. So let me open that up so you can see that in there. But I'm going to keep my test dashboard folder selected as I build the second folder, and I'll call that prompts. And yes, that's where we put any prompts we want to build. And then finally, I'm going to add a folder called reports. When I build my reports today to go in my dashboard, I will store them in the reports folder. I will store any prompts in the prompts folder, and the dashboard itself will be here. You don't have to do it this way with these multiple folders, but like I said, this is how all these other systems are built, when there's the default reports. And so if you continue that habit, that best practice, that will make it work as well, and people know where to find things when they're working with you folks. Okay, that's the first step in this process. The second step is to create some reports that are going to be used in the dashboards. My focus here today is not about building the reports themselves. It's about putting them in the dashboard. So I'm going to move relatively quickly as I build reports, because you've seen some report building before. But when I do something a little different than I've done in the past, I will slow down to show you exactly what I'm clicking on and so forth, so you don't miss anything. I start, as always, with the Create menu in the upper right corner to create an analysis, which is a report. And the subject area I'm going to use today is fulfillment. So I'm going to choose the fulfillment subject area. That brings me to the new untitled report ready to get started. This report, for the first report, I'm going to make a list of the top 10 classifications of resources that have been loaned out. And specific classification we're going to use is Library of Congress classification. So I'm going to get 2 columns of information, and one of them I need to get it from the Library of Congress classifications folder. So I'm going to open that up and see what my choices are. And here's group 1. I'll drag that in as my first column. So that's Library of Congress group 1, by the way. If you don't use Library of Congress classifications, there are other options you can use. Find for data in here. But just kind of go along with me for now so you get a sense of how to build these reports. And the second column I need comes from the loan folder. So I'm just going to go back up to there. And I need a measurement. I need to know how many loans happened. So I'm just making this a little wider. For today, I'll just go the loans in-house plus not in-house. That's a good measurement of counting loans. Now, I need a couple of filters, because if I run this report right now, it's going to give me everything from every loan from every period of time, and it probably would break the whole report system. With some filters, I can restrict that a little bit. So I would like to show not all the loans, all the groups and all the loans, but just the most popular groups, the top 10 groups, Library of Congress groups, by count of the loans. So I'm going to filter on this field right here, this loans in-house and not in-house. And so I'm going to hover over the gear icon there and then go to filter. And I'm going to create the filter to say loans in-house plus not in-house. Not is equal to, I'm going to change the operator to is in top 10. So now I'm going to have the top 10 count of the loans in-house plus not in-house. And we'll say, okay. That will certainly restrict the numbers we get here on this list. And the other thing is I just want to look at a particular year. So I'm going to add a loan date filter. And that's not one of these columns. So I'm going to go over here to the right side and create a filter and then use the more columns list to find loan date. There's the loan date folder. Open that up and I want the loan year. And I'll say, okay, loan year is equal to, what are my options here? Oh, it's just all the years. Okay, let me just pick, I know there's some data from 2020, so I'll just choose the 2020. There we go. All right, I'm going to save the report. So I go to the upper right corner again to save this report, and now I need to navigate to the place I want to put it. It looks like it's brought me all the way to that test dashboard. That's where I wanted to go anyway. Within my institution folder here, I'm within that test dashboard folder. But each of these reports that I build, I want to actually put that in the reports folder. So I'm going to open that up. And then I'm going to give it the name top 10 classifications loan. That's actually the one right there. Top 10 classifications loan. Yeah. And click OK. I gave it the file name. That file name turned into the title of this report. Let's take a quick look at the results just to make sure this all worked the way we wanted to. It should be a pretty simple table. Yeah, it's got the top 10 Library of Congress classification groups and then the number of loans in 2020 that made it to that. Okay, that's fine. I've saved it and I will start a second report. Create an analysis. Again, I'm using the fulfillment folder, fulfillment subject area. And this second report that I'm building is just going to be the most loaned titles. And so we need two columns of bibliographic information. I need titles. So I'm going to find the bibliographic details folder and open that up. And I should be able to find the titles. It's alphabetical mostly. So usually if you try that and drag that into my selected columns. And the other one, I need that date. Again, I'll just get the 2020 date. So I'm going to open up the loan date folder and again, choose loan year. By the way, I could drag it over like I'm been doing there. It's quicker if I double click, click, and it pops it into the columns as well at the end. Before I even start doing let's do a filter. Let me see. Again, let's filter on the year 2020, so the loan year. So I'm going to hover there, filter, select that. Loan year again equal to 2020. And check the box and OK. And the second filter I want is instead of the top 10 for this one, let's try the top 100. So from my second column, well, now I've lost track of what I'm doing here. Just a minute. And oh, that's why. Not loans year. This one, I want it to be loans in-house. We got to have that count again. So loans in-house. And I don't need the loan year because now we're doing that 2020. So we'll just delete that. Loans in-house. And this one, I have top 100 instead of the top 10. So I'm going to filter. Not is equal to. Don't want that. I want is in top 100. I'm going to type that into the value. So just a list of the titles that are most loaned, right? The 100 titles that were most loaned in-house plus not in-house in the year 2020. Save this report and we'll call it. Is it in the right place? Is it in the right place? Yes, it is. It's going into my reports folder. And we'll call it most loaned titles. That's fine. And okay. Let's take a look at the results before I move on. That looks right. It's just the most loaned titles. You know, it looks like it's alphabetical by title. I suspect the folks who want to look at this report are going to want it to be in order of loans with the most number of loans at the top, we can do that. We can go back here on the criteria and have it sort automatically. So right here, this is the column that I'm talking about, the loans column. I want it to sort. So I choose again that gear icon with the tools and I get sort descending. So it'll start with the highest number of loans and then drop down to the lowest. And save that again, take a look at the results just to see if it worked. And yes, it did. From 6 loans for these titles and on down to the lower ones. Great. Okay, I'm ready for the third report. This is again going to be creating an analysis, creating a report. Again, fulfillment. By the way, when you build a dashboard with different reports, you don't have to make all the reports from the same subject area. You could mix them up in any way you want to have the results and information that's best presented. On the other hand, if you were to try to build a single report from more than one subject area, that's actually hard. We'll talk about that later in later sessions, but it's really easy to do here in a dashboard. It's possible to do it on a report, but it's definitely easier to do in a dashboard. I'm actually going to create another one in the fulfillment subject area, but I just wanted to let you know that that's one of the great things about using dashboards is you can mix and match your subject areas amongst the different dashboards. This report will be a list of the number of loans that each borrower user group loaned during the period of time. So from the borrower details folder down here, I'm going to pick user group for the first column. Way down here, there it is, drag that in. And from the loans folder, again, I'm going to count loans, in-house plus not in-house. And then I just need that 2020 filter. So we're going to take the more columns, do a filter, date, loan year. Loan year is equal to, and yeah, I could pick it like I've been doing before, but if you see the format that these are in, you can actually just type it in. It works the same, 2020, and go. There's that. Let's save this report. Again, making sure it's going into my reports folder within my new test dashboard folder. I will call it number of loans per borrower user group. Great. Save. Check the results just to make sure it looks the way I want it to look. And yes, that's the way I want it to look. We got user groups and the counts for the loans. All right. Now it's time to make a dashboard that will put all these reports together. So just save it once again and create, but this time I'm not going to create an analysis. I'm going to create a dashboard. Select that and it says, give me a name. Okay. The name is going to be Loans Dashboard. And a description I could put in here to help my colleagues understand what it is. Now where? That is not where I want to store it. So I'm going to navigate with the Browse Catalog to find the Test Dashboard folder. Let me expand this a little. Test Dashboard. And actually I want it to go in the Dashboards folder. And then I'll click OK. That's okay. And then the last choice I have down here is, am I going to add content now or later? And the thing is, I'm going to add it now. So I'm just going to say okay here, and it should reset and give me a new dashboard. Here we go. It's got the title up at the top. We're on the first page or the first tab. So now I need to create a report. I'm going to add a report to this dashboard. And it's down here on the lower left. Here's the catalog. It's just a smaller version of it, but I can dig in here to find those reports I built in my institution folder, in my test dashboard folder, in my reports folder. I know right where to go because I was using that standardized system. And the report I want is the top 10 classifications. There it is. Now, click and drag, click on it, drag over into the middle of this field and let go. And there it is. That's my report now built onto this page. That's just kind of the outline of this report where it's going to go. So that's my first page, the first tab of this dashboard. Now I'm ready to make a new page, a second page, and that's up here. That little icon right there says add dashboard page. So I click it and add a dashboard page. It asks me for a name for the page. So I'm going to say most loaned titles. and click OK. Yes, I would like to save. So here we are on the second tab, the page called Most Loan Titles. And I'm ready to add the report. So just like that, I go down to my report in a catalog here. Like there it is, Most Loan Titles, click and drag into the middle, and there is that second tab. I'm going to save that so it doesn't keep giving me the alert. Add another dashboard page, a third dashboard page. We're calling this Top 10 LC Classifications Loaned. Our third report. Click OK. Here we are on the third tab. Grab the third report, drag it in. There it is. Good to go. And again, I'll save my work. You know, I've got this great tabs up here at the top for these reports, but the first one doesn't have the right name because it kind of came up by default when I was working on it, and it's got the right report here, but it's not named that. I need to rename this tab, this page of the dashboard. That's right here on the gear icon, the tools. I'm going to open that up and choose dashboard properties, which will give a little pop-up. There's a lot going on here, but where we want to go is down here in the pages. There's page 1, and there's the other 2 pages, which have a good name. If I click that page 1, highlight it, then use this tool right up here at the top. It says rename. That's what I want. The rename it to, oh, this is top 10, isn't it? I'm going to have to rename the other one. Top 10 Classifications Loaned. That's the name I want for that one. Yep, it already exists. Okay, I got to change the other one because I made the wrong name on this one. I'm going to rename my third one to number of loans per borrower user group. And now I can change this, rename the first tab, first page to top 10 classifications loaned. Nope, not going to let me do it. Top 10 LC classifications loaned. All right. And okay. There we go. That looks good. And that looks good. So, and it matches the title here if I'd gone to check. Okay, save it, save it, save it. Don't lose it. Now, let's see if this works. To see if a dashboard works, we run it. That's the link right up here at the top. Run the dashboard. All right, here we are. The page is top 10 LC classifications loaned. That's the title of the report. That's here. That's nice. Most loaned titles. Sure enough. And look, it's got my reverse numerical count and number of loans per borrower user group. Perfect. That's great. So that is how to create a dashboard built out of various reports. So I'm going to pause here and see if some questions came through that are worth explaining live in the Alma and Analytics. So Rachel, did anything come through that I should show?
Nope, I think we got it all covered in the chat.
Excellent. In that case, I will move on to our next topic, editing a default dashboard. So there, let me show you the high-level steps for this. We're just going to move past this break. I've not seen need for a break. We've only been going for about a half hour. So instead, I'm going to show you the steps to edit a default dashboard. It's actually a little bit tricky. First thing you have to do is find the report you want, the dashboard you want, and then copy all of the folders that have that dashboard and the reports and any prompts in it. You have to copy that and then paste that entire folder into the new location. It needs to be somewhere you can edit it. You cannot edit a default dashboard unless you move it, you copy and paste into one of the locations you have access to, which would be the My Folders location. That's your personal folder. No one else can see anything in there. Or, more likely, put it in your institution's folders so you and anyone else at your institution who has the design analytics role can edit it. Then you can edit the reports, and then you can edit the dashboard. So I'm going to jump back into Alma briefly because you might remember that there's a timeout feature in Alma. And if you don't interact with Alma often, once in a while, it's going to time out, and then the analytics tool will time out without warning, it will just stop working and you might lose whatever work you've been working on if you didn't save it. So I'm just going to go back to Alma real quick and access Analytics just to kind of reset that timer for everything. It takes me right back to the dashboard that I was building. That's okay. I'm just going to move on to the catalog to find a default dashboard that I would like to duplicate and modify. The dashboard I want is in the Alma folder. That's where the default dashboards and reports and everything are. And the one I want is called Fulfillment. Let me get to that point here. Fulfillment. So you see how it's built with the dashboard folders and prompt folders and reports folder. I want it all. The easiest way to do this is to take everything. So I highlighted the Fulfillment folder here, and I go down to the bottom to the tasks, and I click Copy. Now I need to navigate to the place where I want this to go. So I'm going to collapse the Alma folder, go to my institution folder, and it's probably just simple enough to put it right here at the top level. So I'll click on Training to Inst right there, and then go down to the tasks, and there it is, paste. Click on paste. This can take a while. This takes 5, 10, 20 seconds sometimes. And what I find is sometimes it's done, but you don't know it because it doesn't refresh right away. So if I click around here a little bit, like if I click over to Alma and close the training and put it back, we might eventually find it. Like it's here. See that? It popped in right there, but it's not even showing up yet here. It will. It just needs a couple minutes. Oh, there it is down at the bottom. It'll resort it alphabetically. Like I said, it's kind of a flaky thing, but it worked. And within the fulfillment folder, there are the 3 subfolders and so forth. All right. I can even see what's in there now. And let's open up the dashboard folder. There's 3 different dashboards, default dashboards that were built. And there's some prompts that were built. And if I open, there's a bunch of reports that were probably built into those dashboards. Okay. Let's go back to the dashboards. Let's go open the fulfillment dashboard. This is the one that I want to kind of start working on, this fulfillment dashboard. I'm going to click open just to take a look at how it's built by default. Looks like we've got 6, 7, 8 pages of reports here. If I look at this general circulation statistics, okay, here's a nice single table. It's got a nice prompt up at the top. Looks like it's showing us loans over the last month. And it's got returns and claims and so forth. And one of the things is this column right here, loans in-house and not in-house. At my institution, we actually want to split those. I want to know how many loans are just in-house and how many loans are not in-house, not combined together. So I'm going to edit this report. The way to start editing this report is to edit this dashboard. So let me show you how this works. In the upper right corner, there's that gear icon for page options. And if I click that, one of the choices to edit the dashboard. So now it's taking me out of just looking at the dashboard, and now I'm editing the dashboard. This might look a little familiar because this is what it kind of looked like when we built our own dashboard. But this time I'm looking at the second tab, General Circulation Statistics. And here is the table of data, and here is that prompt. If I hover over this table, the General Circulation Statistics, that's the actual report. In the upper right corner here, do you see these 2 icons? X will delete this report, but XYZ says properties. So I'm going to click that, and one of the choices there is to edit the analysis. So this way, I'm making sure that I edit the correct report. I edit analysis, and now it's going to open up the report that this was based on, or this came from, in my standard report editing interface. And there's that column that I don't want. So I'm actually going to delete this column. Probably I should do that on the criteria tab just to make sure. So I'm going to switch over to criteria, and all right, here is that loans in-house plus not in-house that I don't want. So I'm going to hover over there and delete that column of data, and then add in what I want, which is the separate loans in-house and loans not in-house. So here they are, loans in-house, not in-house. I'm going to click and drag and put them right in that same spot, and not in-house, and put it right in that same spot. There we go. Okay. I'm going to now save as this report. I can't save it because there's a default report, but I can save as, and the name is fine, although I'm going to just add a little bit, split in-house and not, just to remind me this is that different table. But is it going into the right place? Shared folders, Alma, no. That's the default folder. It won't let me save there anyway. I need to reset this to where I am, which is opening up my institution folder, opening up my fulfillment folder that I just pasted in, and the reports folder. That's where I want to put it because that's where the new version is that I'm working on. So now I can click OK, and it will save it there. Let me take a quick look at the results before I leave. Where's my data? Oh, here it is. Because I added these two columns later, they just go on the end. Even though I slipped them into the right spot on the criteria tab, the system ignores that. The system just tacks them onto the end here. That also means it's very easy to change. I just drag them from here. So I'm going to hover over the header here and drag that column over to the beginning where I want it. Same with the second one. I'm going to drag that column over here to the beginning next to that. And actually, while I'm at it, this is kind of organized by library name, so why not have it reflect that and put library name at the beginning? I like that better anyway. And then we get the counts and so forth. Now I like it. Save the report. That's going to call it a save as anyway. That's fine. Right over it. We're done. Okay, we're finished this report. We saved it into the right place. Now we're ready to go back to the dashboard. And there is a link to do that right up here at the top. Return to fulfillment dashboard. So back on the dashboard, and I'm on the general circulation statistics, and that's not the report. Because this tab, this page is still pointing to the old report. So now we fixed the report itself and saved it in a new place. We need to point this page to the correct report. We need to edit this dashboard again. So I'm going to go up to that icon up in the right corner and edit dashboard. Brings up this second tab here, the general circulation statistics. Here is the report, but this is actually the wrong report. It's still pointing to the old report. I'm going to delete it right there. Click delete. It's gone. Find the report that I just saved in my institution folder, in fulfillment folder right there, in the reports folder, and the name of it was general circulation statistics split. Remember the split in-house and not in-house. Drag that into place. That's got the right name. I like that. Save the dashboard. Run the dashboard. Let's see what it looks like. Yes, that's what I want. Library name, the loans in-house and not in-house, and so forth. It worked. Success. Okay. For the last topic of the day, nope, before we do the last topic of the day, I'm trying to check in with Rachel and see if there's any questions that we should try to address live in Analytics.
I'm going to give people a little chance while we're in a break. I do see a question that just came in, but I'm going to reshare this in the chat because this is going to be something we talk about more of in a few weeks.
Excellent.
Asking a question about more filter functions.
I love it. You're thinking ahead. As they keep coming in, go ahead and interrupt as appropriate. I am going to create a dashboard prompt for our last topic of the day. Here are the high-level steps for creating a dashboard prompt. First thing I need to do is set some reports to require a prompt, and I'm going to do that on the report we created at the very beginning of class. The second step is to create and define the parameters of the prompt itself. Then we need to save the prompt into that dashboard folder that we've been working in, and then add the prompt to the dashboard, and maybe most importantly, test it. Make sure it works before we send it out to folks to use. All right, again, I'm going to start in Alma instead of Analytics just to reset that counter, that logout counter. And the place to start working on this is I need to change the reports. So I'm going to go back to the catalog and find each of those 3 reports that I built at the very beginning of today. So not the fulfillment dashboard we were working on just now, the test dashboard, where I created 3 reports. Remember this? And when I made these reports, let me edit this one just to show you the most loan titles. When I created these reports, I set it up with a filter that said the loan year is equal to 2020, just to limit data. Now we're going to change it so that the user, the consumer who's looking at my dashboard, will set the loan year they want to look at for data. So I'm going to change this filter. Instead of saying it's in a year, I'm going to edit it using the edit button there. And I'm going to say the loan year not is equal to, but instead is prompted. And then OK. So it's going to look for a prompt on the dashboard to set this. Now, you might remember we talked a few weeks ago about the fact that if you see a filter on a report and it says is prompted, and then you actually just open the report itself, it's like there's no filter because it's looking for a prompt and it won't find a prompt. So for instance, I flip over to this results page. This is all years. This is all loan years. I know the numbers don't add up to huge numbers, but it's not just a particular year. That's what the is prompted will do if you're just looking at a report with no prompt. But we're going to use this report on a dashboard, which will have a prompt, and that will take advantage of this filter for the loan year. And so I'm going to save this report and go back to the catalog and do the same thing on the other 2 reports. So I've got number of loans per borrower user group, and I'm going to edit that. Again, go to the criteria tab. Loan year is equal to 2020. No, loan year is prompted. It's the same field, loan year, in each of these. Save that. Catalog, top 10 LC classifications. And again, I just so happened to put a filter in each of these that was loan year is equal to 2020. That was not a coincidence. That was the plan. Is prompted again for this one. Save it. And now all of our reports have been built with this prompting. Okay. Now we need to create the prompt. And that starts up in the create menu, but instead of analysis and not dashboard prompt. I'm going to build a prompt. Where am I going to pull the field that I'm going to prompt on? Well, it's that loan year field, right? Loan year is the field I'm going to prompt on. That's in the fulfillment subject area. So I'm going to open that up. This is a little different. This is the prompt definition page, the prompt creation page. So up here in this corner, there's the green plus symbol. That is new. So I'm going to add a new prompt. What kind of prompt? This one's going to be a column prompt because it's going to be prompted on that loan year field. And the field I'm looking for is in loan date and loan year. Okay. And all right, how are we going to set this up? Well, there's a couple things we need to do here. I just need to, if I leave it like this, it'll be fine because what it's saying is loan year is equal to or is in, and then the user, so that's my consumer, is going to see the choice list of years from Alma data they can use. That's fine. I could just leave it like that. I'm actually going to add one little trick, which is to have a default setting. So I'm going to use the options here, open up the options section to create a default selection. Way down here, default selection, I'm going to choose a specific value. And then I need to pick one. So that's the little plus symbol right here to select the values. And it's going to give me the list from Alma of values. And just for consistency, I'm going to use that 2020 that I was using before. But in this time, it's just a default. It's just going to be the first setting, but the user can change it from the drop-down menu that they see. And then I'll, okay. All right, that's it. I've got a prompt ready to go. And I will save this prompt. I need to put it in the right place. The right place is my folder called Test Dashboard within the folder called, hey, how about the prompt folder? What an idea that would be. Loan year prompt. Okay. Time to go back to the dashboard and get this on it. So we go to the catalog, and I'm going to open up my dashboard. It's again down here in the test dashboard folder, in the dashboards folder. There it is, loan dashboards, and I'm going to edit it, which should take me to a place you recognize. And it's time to add the prompt. We are on the first tab, the top 10 LC classifications tab, and I'm going to add this prompt. And it's this easy. Open up shared folders. I'm going to find the prompt basically in my test dashboard folder. In my prompt folder, there it is, loan year prompt. And I click and drag. The dark blue line there, actually, let me get rid of that. The dark blue line that's appearing there, that's where it's going to go. So if I put it here, it's going to be underneath my table of data. If I put it here, it's going to be above the table of data. And if I put it here, it's above the entire section. It might be kind of confusing where to put it here. For you today, I will put it in both so that you can see, I'm just trying to get rid of that. You can see what it looks like in the same section as a table and outside in its own section. We'll delete the one we don't want later, but it doesn't matter. Having it twice in there is okay. That's the prompt we're going to use. I'm going to save it here before we go to the next page, and then I'll select the next tab, the next page in my dashboard. Again, I want the prompt on this report because we changed it in all 3 reports. And I'll put it right there, loan year right above the report. Switch to the 3rd tab. Oh, yes, save it. Switch to the 3rd tab, put in the prompt right above the table, save it there as well. Finally, go back to the 1st tab, and I think we're ready to run this report. Click Run. So here's what it looks like when I put the prompt in its own section, its own column, and then when it's in the same one as the report. Either one works the same. It's whatever you think it looks better or worse. I like this version down here, so I'm going to get rid of the extra one when I actually go edit it, but it does here. So what do we got? We got the default of 2020, and those are the numbers that came out here. These are the 2020, but now my user could do more, do different. Use the prompt for what it's for, create another, the different option of data. And yeah, these numbers are higher. It's reporting different data from different years. If you ever want to reset what you're seeing, you just reset to the default values. It stops back. I apply that and it's back to 2020. So I'm just going to put those back in because I want to show you something. Apply that data. I'll switch to the 2nd page, which had that same prompt on that same field, and those reports had that same filter. Sure enough, it carried over the prompt that I already figured out, and now it's giving me a report on most loan titles from all of my responses in the prompt. Same with the number of loans per borrower used. I forgot to rename this thing, but the fields are working. Everything's working, and it's based on the table data that I picked in my prompt. So it worked again. That's what I have to show you today. So before I start concluding my remarks, Rachel, anything else to demonstrate in Alma?
Yes, we have a few other things that just came in, so I think this is good. First was simple. Could you please show again where to go to create a new prompt?
Yes. It's a create. That's why I try to use that word create, because then you know to go to the create menu, create dashboard prompt. And that opened up that we have the subject area because, again, with the prompt, it needs to know which particular field of data you're going to be looking for. And so then I picked the fulfillment in my case, because that's what I used for all those reports. And then we started building the prompt.
Excellent. Okay, a couple more.
Ready.
I'm going to go in sort of a mixed up order, what I think is probably easiest. Can you go back to the dashboard on the view? Dashboard of the one I made? Yeah, the one any dashboard really. Okay, good. That works. We had a question of, can you print a page from the dashboard when in the dashboard? If you want to, you could build a print on the bottom. Many of the default dashboards have the printing ability.
I think the only way you can do it here, I believe you'll be able to do it, is that upper right corner gear icon, print, printable PDF, print HTML, export to Excel, and so forth.
Yes, perfect. Okay, a couple other editing things. So if we can go edit this, I think now,
Sure.
edit this dashboard page. Um,
Good, because I
we
want to
want
get rid of that extra prompt.
okay. First one was, can the prompt be also put between the title and the table? Um, so in that sense, right, the title, when we were displaying it, which yeah, maybe we should just toggle
Oh,
back and forth, that title comes from the report.
yeah. You can't tell it, but it's with report, and because I typed it wrong when I did that, we'd have to go back and fix that. But uh, I'll let you answer the question, Rachel, and then I'll answer it too.
Well, I was going to say you can also, there are more things you can add for display purposes on dashboards. So you could add a separate title to the dashboard that you can put pretty much wherever you want.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that next time or the time after. Um, how to add things like titles or lots of different kinds of data manually, sort of manually, by you designing it after the report's been built and you're building a dashboard. So that'd be one way to do it, is to remove it from the report itself, not show it on the report itself, and then when you build the dashboard with it, you put the title on it where you want it, and then you can put the prompt underneath the title.
Great. And similar, while we're on this page, someone asked, I've noticed there are compound display options. Is it possible to put more than one report on a single dashboard page?
And you could try this out, folks, because the answer is yes. I could have put several reports. What do we got? Top 10. I'm just going to drag this under here. There, it's a second report, and it will show up on the dashboard page. Yes.
Yes. These are very modular, so kind of usual thing. Try, click and drag, see where they go. Fun to play with.
What else?
All right. I think that's good. Just a couple other things that are going to be more future week things. We had a few different questions asking for more details on prompts. Again, next week.
You will love next week,
lots
folks.
of prompts.
Great, thanks. Then let me just wrap this up. As I said, we're getting done a little bit early, but hopefully that you won't mind. As always, there are additional places to find information that go beyond what we talked about here. The most detailed, most extensive information is the analytics documentation in the Knowledge Center, the Ex Libris Knowledge Center. There's also other training videos. Some of them are in the Knowledge Center. You can find many of them on our YouTube channel if you just go to the Ex Libris YouTube channel and search for Alma Analytics. Today's session, like all of these kind of generic, many institutions are represented here today. You all have different setups and ways you use Alma. But if you would really love some help in creating analytics reports or dashboards for yourself, and you don't know how to do it and you want some advice, kind of the one-on-one, one-to-one, our team in the premium services group, there's the email address. You can send them a message and they will gladly work something out. It's for a fee, but it can be very customized, kind of whatever you need help with. There's a quick way to get to all these resources is from the page in the Ex Libris Knowledge Center where you logged in and registered for today's training session. So I'm going to go there really fast. Hopefully you have access to that landing page where all these Knowledge Center links for the today's session and so forth. It's taking a little longer than I was hoping, but here it is. Here is the page where this series of classes is set up. And if we scroll down to the fourth session, so that's today's session, creating and managing dashboards. Here are the slides that I was using. If you want to just download those, it's a PDF of the slides. Here is the exercises. So I'm going to open that up just so you can see it. It's everything I did, except the stuff that we did, special requests questions. Create a new dashboard, step by step, exactly how to do it. Edit a default dashboard. Create a dashboard prompt. It's all in there. I encourage you to try those out this week in your own institution. You will be making real reports. You can do real things. When you learn how to share these reports with other folks at your institution, or maybe you already know, you'll be able to do that just following those exercises. And then here is the links to the documentation elsewhere in the Knowledge Center, including the specific reports, creating a dashboard. Also, the recording of today's session that we're listening to right now will come here, right here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's last night's session. So it's here, probably the next couple of days that will come up there. And then here is next week's session. If you haven't registered for it, this is the link to go to for the best times for North America anyway, North and South America. Hope to see you all, because next week we will be talking about, yes, creating and managing prompts. So we'll do several different things. First of all, I'll create a prompt in an Alma Analytics report instead of in a dashboard like we did today. I'll put it in a report. Also, we'll have some ways of customizing this prompts. So this is getting into the nitty-gritty of making really powerful prompts. For example, I could make it so that if someone needs to type in a word into my report, I want to say what titles you want to look up or something like that, and they start typing it in. I want to make sure that my prompt doesn't care if they type in uppercase or lowercase, and it doesn't care if the actual Alma record with the title is in uppercase or lowercase or a mixture of something. Make it insensitive, make it not care about the case. That's a really neat tool, so it's not so specific. Or where the prompt can go with a specific date, or a place the prompt can look for whether the result is null in a record or not null. Is there an empty field in an Alma record, or is there not an empty field? And really cool is how to take that prompt information, whatever the user typed in, and put it in the header, like change the title of the report based on what they said when they typed in, or they chose a particular thing. Like today we said year 2020, we wanted results from 2020. Wouldn't it be cool if the title of the report changed and said for year 2020? Yes, you can, and yes, we will. And finally, a link that's not really a prompt, but it's a really nice, powerful tool to, when you use a prompt in a report, to allow the user, the consumer, to jump back to the original prompt and change their choices and look at a different report information. That's what I have for you folks today. Thank you for your attention and your great questions. As you leave the WebEx today and you close the WebEx, your internet browser will pop up with a quick survey. Please take the minute or two it takes to answer that survey. We will be offering these classes again sometime and love to make them better. I worked on this previously and I updated it for this month's class, and I'd love to make it better for whatever's helpful to you. Make any changes that would be useful. So please fill out
very
the survey.
good quick question that I want to interrupt for, that we're doing the daylight savings time switch.
Yes. Okay. Next week, well, next Saturday night, Sunday morning, daylight saving time does occur in some parts of the world, and we will be shifting with it, which means this class, whatever time this started for you, will be, for me, on the west coast of North America, it was started at 9 a.m., and it will be 9 a.m. next week, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So if you switch in your region to daylight time, it will work. If you don't switch yet, if you're in some part of the world that is not switching for a couple weeks or doesn't ever switch, it will shift time. Hopefully, when you register for the session, your Outlook calendar or whatever you use for a calendar will adjust appropriately, because it's all based on universal time. The universal time of this class will change because the daylight saving time. The point is, most of the people in this class right now will be switching to daylight saving time, and so we will be shifting the time so that the class occurs at the same time for most folks. I hope that's not too confusing.
Yes. Yes. So person from Boston, you should still be at noon.
Right. Thank you. Just for comparison, last night I was doing class for mostly Asia Pacific folks, most of whom don't change. Or, the Southern Hemisphere, their daylight saving is a completely different time of the year. And so I will be changing time for them next week because I'm in North America, but they won't, because I want to keep it consistent for them. But again, that hopefully it'll all work out when you register. You won't have to think about it. It'll just happen appropriately on your calendar. Thanks for the question, though. And thank you, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.